Alright people, welcome to another day in paradise. Today I'm going to try and sit this motor into its position, just an initial look over it, try and work out the best position for it in terms of axle angles, for how high the car is going to be sitting, talking angles forward and backwards, angle and up and down angle. We really want the axles straight if possible. And we're going to work out where the mount's going to go and things like that. Alright, let's get into it. Okay, it's sitting in there. This is where I initially expected to put the rear mount, the rear mount of the motor, but it ain't going to work because the axle line is obviously way up here where it needs to be down further. So I'll see what happens about putting the mount there underneath this edge here. See what happens in that respect. Right. Okay, so this isn't computer aided design going on here. This is strings. What I've done is I've repositioned the motor at this stage underneath the rear subframe, just to sort of see if that's any better. What I've done is I've run a string line from the centre of each wheel across to the other side there, and that gives me my axle centre line. And I have used a plumb bob, which is a string with a nut welded on the end of it, and I've held that up there like that to get my wheel string in the right centre. Same with this side, centre of there to there. It's very accurate. And what I've done is I've positioned this in such a way that I then, it's hard doing this with one hand, put this in the centre line of the axle. Take my word for it, I've eyeballed it with two hands, and then work out the get the axle so the axle line is centre line with the wheel, so that the centre line of the wheels is in the centre line of the axle outlet diff portion of the motor. Right, so that's that, got that sorted. So now I can mark the section up here of where this mounting position needs to be, and then we can work out our height. As far as ride height goes, this car here is, believe it or not actually that low. It's probably a little bit lower than factory. It's got coilovers on it, but it's wound down to a comfortable size. I've got quite a fat back tyre on it, but these are all standard guards. They have guard liners in it still. It does just rub when you go over a big deep bump. You can hear the fronts rub. But anyway, so in terms of ride height, I'm going to try and get this. This is possibly, I want to make it, the new car, a little bit lower than this one, because this is, you know, not that crazy. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and make the ride height about 20 mil lower than what this one is possibly a sitting position. So I want to make the ride height from the centre of the wheel to the bottom of the guard 300 millimeters, which is about 20 mil lower than this. So I think that's what we're going to try and do. So what I've done is I have written on the guard there, ride height 300 mil. Work out where all this is going to sit in its sitting position, and then work out how high this motor has to go. I think what's going to happen is I'm going to have to end up cutting into the cross member, which I don't really like doing, but there's no way around it, and we'll go from there. Okay, I have roughly marked out centre lines and bits and pieces where I need to cut. So I've got a plan. I'll take this subframe off and cut out the section I need to cut out to get it in the right place, and then do some more precise measurements once it's sitting exactly where I want it. Okay, I've marked out my initial cuts. It's quite a big chunk being cut out of there, but we will reinforce it once it's finished. This is just an initial cut. It'll obviously have to be touched up from here. We'll see how we go. Alrighty, smoking. So that's what one looks like inside. Yeah, I happened to cut right through those nuts and bolts. Made my life a bit harder than it needed to be. But I'll stick it back on and we'll see what we can do. I think that's where I'm going to do it. I'll make up a bit of box section, weld it into this cutout I've made. It'll work out quite well, I think. I don't have to do anything crazy with the bolt through. It'll just be a straight bolt through. So I'll do that, and then it will be, one mount will be sorted. Okie dokie, right, I have welded this unit in here. I've made it to the right width. Put a captive nut on that side. It's been MIG welded in. In New Zealand we're not allowed to grind back any welds, so the welds are the welds, and we've got it in the right place. So we'll see what happens and we'll put it on. Okay, lo and behold, the Tesla motor is sitting in there. We have our mount made. Okay, I've been powering ahead. Haven't filmed too much of what I've been up to, but we have the motor sitting in here as before. I've started making a subframe cross member type thing. It goes from the original mount on this side of the engine bay. It's made of roll cage tubing, quite thick. Goes along there, comes up and mounts to the other side where the engine, the gearbox mount was. So now I'm going to try and what I've done is I've made some spuds, some weld-on spuds. Here they are here, and they are a spud, thick-walled, very thick spud with a Tesla bolt in it, and it is going to be going there like that, and we're going to weld it, notch it and weld it into that bit of cross member there. Same on the other side, around here, same thing, welded in there. And I've made some wooden axles out of a shovel handle, tight fit into the diff, and I'm going to use them as a guide to get my motor in exactly the right position. Alright, there's my spuds welded on. There's one welded on there. One welded on there. Yes, these are in two halves. So what I'm going to do is I've got a spacer sleeve there. I'm going to cut that down and get it the right shape. Put it on the car once and for all, and weld my sleeve in place. Join the two halves together, then it will be one complete piece. Alright, cross member is done. Right, it's not painted obviously, but here we have our welded up cross member, spuds on, got the sleeve there, another spud there, mount, and I've put this little stay on here, just as an extra little stay to brace it back to the car in a third place. So we've got a big solid mount there, original mount on the right hand side of the vehicle. This is the mount on the left hand side of the vehicle, and one stay there. Alright, she's in. So here we go. Got our mount up there. We bolted in there. Stayed onto the chassis there. Up to there. Bolted in there. So I'll undo the strap and see if it sits there and doesn't fall out on the ground. Fingers crossed, eh? Oh, there it is, believe it or not, it's in the hole. Bolted up. Alright, so sitting on its own weight. Looks good to me. Alright, next on the list after this will be removing these wooden axles because they're not going to cut it, and working out what I'm going to do with the axles. I have to figure out the position of the motor and suspension travel. This area up and down here, I want to make sure that the axle does not come up and hit the chassis rail. So what I'll be doing is taking the springs out the back, or a spring out the back, trying to run it through its suspension travel and see how far away the axle is. You wouldn't think it would normally be a problem, but there is actually a lip on the bottom of the chassis rail there with a little notch cut out of it from factory. So obviously the factory axle must get quite close to it in its stand form. The motor, I think, is the axle position is higher. I've done it on purpose to get a little bit of ground clearance because it's quite a fat differential type setup in there, and so the motor is quite a little bit higher in terms of where the axles would normally come out. It's a little bit higher, not much, a little bit. And the other thing is, because each axle is a long axle instead of the usual little short stubber and a little short stubber, they pivot from where the CV joint will be in this area here and here. So the axle won't be on such a steep angle when it goes up and down on its suspension travel, which may also contribute to it getting closer to the chassis rail at its full compression. But we'll see what happens. I'll do some measurements. There is a little bit of play to play with on the chassis rail. Like I said, there's a lip along the bottom with a little cutout on it from factory. There is a little bit to play with. I could grind that cutout just a little bit higher. That will help a little bit. So yeah, that'll be next on my list. Alright, that's stage one. Unfortunately, I do have a little bit of bad news, and the plans have kind of changed a little bit. As I'm a bit of a newbie to electric cars, a few people have reached out to me and told me that what I'm trying to do is sort of impossible. Well, very hard to do. The plan was originally to fit a motor in the rear and a motor in the front out of a Tesla dual motor Model 3, but the problem is, because of the size of the car, trying to find a battery that can fit in the car, that can put out enough amps to run both motors at full power for the weight of the car not going over the gross vehicle mass is a problem. So I'm working on it, and I think it's close to be able to be done, but at this stage I think what I'm going to do is do the car in a couple of stages. First one will be running it with a rear motor only, and getting the battery pack inside the car, and getting that running as it is, and then we will see do some calculations with weights and what have you, and try and work out if the added front motor is possible. As I want to make this a street car, I can't go over gross vehicle mass, and the gross vehicle mass for this is 1240 kilos, and that's includes the weight of two 80 kilo drivers, driver passenger. So I don't have much weight to go on in terms of adding weight, and of course it all comes down to the batteries. And yeah, to get a battery that can output enough amps, you have to have a battery that weighs 400 kilos, something like that. I haven't got an option for batteries that they use in the States and around the place. Chrysler Pacifica batteries, which are a compact battery. It's an old battery, but they put out a heap of amps, and people use them in high performance applications, high output, dual motor, things like that. I can't get those batteries, and to tell you the truth, I don't actually want those batteries because they're out of 10-year-old cars, and you get them from the wreckers in the States. It just seems like a big hassle for not much gain. And sure, I can get a battery pack that would fit in here, Chrysler Pacifica batteries, but they would power 2 motors, no problems, but then I would only have a small kilowatt hour battery, which wouldn't put out, it would give me a good range. So yeah, I'm just working through a few things, but I think the easiest thing for me to do is to put the car together with a rear motor for a start, see how that goes. It's still got 300 horsepower. I'm pretty sure I can have some fun. I have the ability to run a 200 kilo battery, which wouldn't put the car pretty much, just at a guess, it wouldn't put the car overweight from its original form. It would probably be very close to what it was originally. Yeah, so that's the plan for now. So I hope that doesn't disappoint too many people, but that's just the way it has to go for now. But I will chase up the options once I've got this running. Like I said, it's a steep learning curve for me, and it's also a lot of money. Batteries are dear, motor controllers are dear, a BMS system is dear, everything's dear. So I will, I haven't got a lot of money, but I'll go through it step by step, and hopefully I'll come up with a good outcome. But that's the plan for now. So I'm happy to say the rear motor is mounted. I think the next step for me would be to, I'll be chopping up some axles and taking them to a guy that's not too far away, and he will make some chrome moly axles for me. I have to sort out what I'm doing in terms of outer CV joints. I'm going to try and keep the car all 4-stud, original 4-stud. There's some big power cars, MRSs, MR2 Spiders in the States, in Europe, Britain, that are running a standard styles outer CV. I think I've heard through the grapevine there are a RAV4 CV, which has the same output spline that will fit into the hubs on this car, and the inside spline for the axle is quite a fat job. So I've just got to figure out what that joint is. Anybody knows, let me know, and I will cut up some axles and Tesla axles and bits and bobs and get these things made, and we'll see how we go. And then the thing will be officially rolling and driving the rear wheels. So that's it. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time, It's been pretty slow progress, but it's just the way it goes. If you watch any of my other videos, yeah, the video's rolling pretty slow. I've got a full-time job, got a family to look after, and it just gets done when it gets done. But you know, in the end, it will get done, and it will get done right. So go through it, and we'll see you next time, mate. Thanks for watching. See you later.